only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions from around your block to around the world. The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Yes, good morning and welcome to another edition of the Art Lewis Show for Friday here on WSGW. That makes me Art Lewis, and I'm glad you're with us this morning. Our thanks to Westside Decorating Center for sponsoring our program as they have this year and have also signed on to do it next year. We thank them much for that. Later on this morning, after the 10 o'clock news, we're going to learn about the Hawkins Award and what it's all about and when it comes up. We have some guests coming in for that at 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we'll learn about Fiji's interior from Sonia. She'll be joining us on Focus. But for this hour, returning for another visit, he wrote the book, literally wrote the book, called Maximize Your Medicare. We were trying to figure it out. It's got to be in its 11th, 12th edition. I don't know. I lost track of the editions. There's been so many of them. And he is J.O. Jay, good morning to you.
Art, my privilege as always. Thanks for having me.
And I will tell you, folks, he has more initials after his name than Carter has little liver pills, is what we used to say. You've been at this a while. Well, I have to ask, Jay, you wrote the book, I think we were just discussing this, we think it was, about 12 years ago that
right.
you wrote Maximize Your Medicare.
Right.
And it's been through numerous alliterations over the years, updating it every year because
Sure.
every year things seem to change.
Right.
How different is the Medicare you wrote about 12 years ago to today?
Notably different, Art. 12 years ago, the first edition of Maximize Your Medicare, Medicare Advantage, was a nowhere near its significance in the Medicare market. There used to be Medicare Advantage plans whose premiums, the cost you pay, would be higher than Medicare Supplement. And they used to be very restricted networks inside of Medicare Advantage. That is entirely flipped on its head. In fact, in the first editions of Maximize Your Medicare, I wrote there for the people who read it carefully. They would have seen my statement saying, why are we paying more money for a contract which is more restrictive than alternatives?
Yeah.
I was asking rhetorically.
Good question.
For example, and I like to tell people who are not familiar with financial matters, who are afraid or intimidated by financial matters, if I just erased the word insurance and I just appealed to people's common sense, they could understand. And that's a simple example. The competition, the sellers have grown, the number has grown, and that has worked to the consumer's favor, which is that they are competing fiercely, very fiercely every year, and that has resulted in benefits which consumers have received. And that has, while you see lots of hot takes everywhere, and it does not matter what corner of the planet you look or our nation that you look, you will see this crossfire. But the reality is that Medicare remains to be very much in the consumer's favor as long as you understand the rules.
So what changed from that first edition when Advantage plans were in their infancy and cost a fortune to now where there's tons of them and many of them carry no premium and give you all kinds of things? I have to ask this question. I've asked others too, and I get the same answer, and I know the answer, but who's paying for it?
So the way that all Medicare Advantage plans work is that a per diem is paid per plan member. So you sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan.
Paid by
the federal government.
That's the answer I was waiting for.
That's correct.
Us.
That is correct. So there's an amount of money that is paid per person, per plan member, that is paid to the carrier when they become a plan member for that year. And every year that number changes, is the subject of scrutiny and debate. And when I talked about the competition amongst the carriers, that's its source, which is that they are fighting for this per diem every year.
Is that per diem straight across the board? In other words, does carrier A versus carrier B versus carrier C get the same dollars?
No, they do not. And so now you have the nuances, which one of them is the star rating, for example. This is the very well known, meaning that every plan is assigned a star rating. And the amount of money that a carrier may receive is determined in large part by this star rating. So it's one of the inputs. The second large input is the health of the individual member. So a person who has lots of health problems, if they enroll in Plan X, the carrier, the company that sells Plan X, will receive the standard per diem plus more.
Wow.
And so now you have the very complicated situation and the controversies that accompany it.
Yeah. We have a caller, too. If you have any questions for Jay, the book Maximize Your Medicare, 989-752-6111. And we have Terry, who is in Birch Run. Terry, you're on with J.O. Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. What's your question?
How you think the Lions going to do this year?
What did you say?
How you think the Lions going to do this year?
Don't understand.
I'm sorry. He said, how do you think the Lions are going to do this year?
Oh, I don't know. We're not talking about that today. But I think they're going to do very well, but I got to run because we're talking about Medicare today. Okay, bye-bye. We have, if you want to talk about Medicare, folks, 989-75.
I have opinions about the Lions as well.
Oh, go ahead. What's your opinion about it? Go ahead. Answer the question, then.
We've waited a long time here.
That's good.
That's what I would say.
That's a good answer.
I don't want to hear complaints about running up the score.
Oh, I like it because you got to keep the team sharp, and he doesn't back down. I love it. Gotta love it. So anyway, we're back to this the thing about all these benefits they've added in now to Advantage plans.
Right.
But do Advantage plans come with a copay?
Every plan, that detail is up to the plan, and those details change every year, so it will depend. And I know that it makes the comparison across all of the plans complicated because person number one may value that specific detail.
Person
highly.
Number two may not.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that's why I encourage people to make a private individual examination because, like I said, your twin brother may not have the same access to the same plan. Even if this plan is the same name and you live in different locations, that detail can differ. That happens today.
We'll take a break, but think about this question, and I'll ask when we come back. It seems the biggest changes this year, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me the biggest changes this year were in what we traditionally call Part D coverage or the drug plans. We'll talk about that with J.O. when we return. The book Maximize Your Medicare, Maximize Medicare, and we'll tell you how you can find copies of it and all that good stuff. It's 9:20. All right, we're back with you here on WSUW. We're talking to J.O., who wrote the book Maximize Your Medicare, now in its umpteenth printing. We think 11 or something like that. And before the break, I put forth the notion that the biggest change this year seems to be in the drug coverage, prescription coverage, Part D, or even, I guess, what's included in other plans. Am I right?
Yes, you are, Art. The Inflation Reduction Act has capped the out-of-pocket cost under Part D to $2,000 a year. And in addition to that, we've had a number of other developments. Number one is the direct negotiation over drug prices, individual drug prices, directly with the pharmaceuticals.
Medicare doing the negotiation.
That is right. Something that it has not done in the past.
And correct me if I'm wrong about that, but this first phase, there are only 10 drugs on that list or something like that. Probably the most expensive, some of the most expensive drugs.
It is, the top 10 list is calculated by the amount of dollars spent nationwide on that particular medication. And its effect has reached the drug prices today. In other words, even though it's not supposed to take effect until later, of course, once the cat's out of the bag, the prices start to move immediately. So we've had that. And in addition to that, we've had the advent of a whole set of new medications, weight loss drugs that are popular and have
The Ozempics of the world.
the Ozempics of the world. That is correct. But those are high-cost medications. And so as a result, the minestrone soup, I very frequently compare financial matters to minestrone soup. In other words, the moving set of ingredients, the balance of these ingredients has certainly shifted, and the effect has been difficult, meaning that the carriers are struggling in balancing it themselves out of these requirements. They've got to meet federal guidelines, and so much so that approximately nationwide, 1/3 of plans have disappeared.
Oh, really?
In 2025 when compared to this year.
And it's different from carrier to carrier.
That is right.
Some carriers hardly have any change, other carriers significant changes.
That is correct. So beyond today, there are technical rules in terms of, a carrier can't offer 25 Part D plans. That's not possible. There are restrictions. And then certainly the pressures have led different carriers to make different commercial decisions, meaning we can't afford this balance, basically pricing themselves out and still offering plans. And it is one of the reasons that one thing which has not changed from Maximize Your Medicare at all is checking every year is absolutely in the consumer's best interest.
And we're in that window.
We are in that window. It's closing rapidly. We're here just prior to Thanksgiving. The federal window closes on December 7th with the caveat, and that is for the local listening area. For people who nationwide, however, if you've been affected, for example, by the hurricanes, and that is your residence, then there's an extension.
Oh, is that right?
For every FEMA declared disaster, there is an extension for whatever relevant enrollment period you are in, and that happens to be this year the annual election period.
Okay. It is, the more we talk about this year after year after year, and just when I think I understand it, something else happens.
I don't think we're getting away from that. Our 2024 is peak 65, as coined by my colleagues at the Alliance for Lifetime Income, and more people will turn 65 this year, and it will basically be the same next year, the most in American history.
So let me ask you this. These are theoretical questions, but I got to ask them anyway. There's been a lot of talk about how do we save Medicare, Social Security, and they go hand in hand.
Sure.
How do we save them? I mean, I have put forth the notion that the actuarial tables that they use are way out of whack compared to what it was when it first started back in the 30s. Back then you retired at 65, you died at 66, and there were 10 people paying for you for every one person taking. Today we live well into our 80s and 90s in many cases. and it's down to what, one and a half persons paying in for everybody taking. It doesn't seem to be sustainable from where I sit. What do we have to change?
The math is certainly difficult, Art, as you pointed out. The fact is that we've got about 10 years to modify the rules. Otherwise, by law, the level of benefits will need to decline. So
that law's already on the books?
Yes.
I wonder how many people know that.
Not very many. That's right. And I
know that.
And I know this because the executive director of the nonprofit where I am education fellow, which is this Alliance for Lifetime Income, is the ex-chief economist of Social Security Administration. So when we sit in the room and he talks about Social Security, his name is Jason Fichtner, we obviously know that we're getting it from the most informed source. So yes, the nation has about 10 years to fix what is going on underneath the roof, for sure. That does not mean by any means that everyone's going to be cut off. Very importantly, sometimes we in our nation where social media and narratives, it's very easy to cling on to. The idea that all of a sudden Social Security will be bankrupt, to me, is just hysteria. And that said, what you started this part with, certainly true.
And it seems that the one thing that's constant, and I could be wrong about this too, the one thing that's constant is that they probably would never monkey with those people already receiving Social Security simply because they are a huge voting bloc.
I would agree to some extent.
I didn't think it would be 100%.
Right, which is that there are a number of different, there are going to be proposals, and trying not to be recklessly speculating, a little bit of speculation is that you could increase the taxation for higher income persons. In other words, there's a limit on the tax level of Social Security benefits depending on your taxable income.
But that's a drop in the bucket compared to what they'll need, isn't it?
Well, I think what you're going to have is trying to collect droplets. You're not going to be able to, like you pointed out, overhaul the entire calculation method. That is not going to be.
So not only are you an expert on Medicare for the book and everything else, but you're also a financial planner and you do a lot of that stuff.
Right.
As someone involved in finance and someone who studied it all your life, if they raise the retirement age, even incrementally over the next 10 years, let's say, to 70 years old, would that be enough?
We would have to ask the actuaries on it.
Would certainly help, though.
Of course. That would be the case, and whether or not the constituents, meaning the future recipients, would be able to afford that is the open question. Still, the statistics are stunning, which is the amount of financial preparedness that people have or don't have, meaning that they're relying on Social Security for an overwhelming % of their retirement income. And if you delayed that, meaning that delayed the age at which they get to get the maximum amount of benefits, then that could create financial duress for certain households.
Or could it also force people to work longer? You don't retire at 65. Now it's, 67? So you retire at 70.
We are having that today. I think that is very fair. There are people who get a second wind. They want to reinvent themselves. That's different, right? I mean, in other words, that we have job changing even at later ages. We have certain people who work longer because of financial necessity. We have people who are working longer because they don't understand our topic here, Medicare and health care cost planning. So as a result, they stay employed in their existing jobs to ensure coverage for their spouse. even if they would like to change jobs.
We're talking to J.O. He's written the book Maximize Your Medicare. If you have any questions, you can give us a call, 989-752-6111, and we will be back with more. We're back with you talking to J.O. He wrote the book Maximize Your Medicare, among other things that he does with his life, including financial planning and all kinds of things. We had a caller ask a question, and this really does impact folks locally.
Sure.
The My Michigan Advantage and Aetna, there's been a change between Aetna and My Michigan Health.
That's right.
And that's not only impacting those outside of Dow, but big impact for Dow employees who had Aetna, right? So what is this all about? What happened?
So Dow Chemical is following the trend of most large employers, which is that retiree health benefits are, in fact, Medicare Advantage, ultimately. They are special Medicare Advantage designed specifically for the employer. So, for example, Michigan teachers, they have a Medicare Advantage plan, ultimately.
When they retire.
Correct.
The retirement benefit.
As a retirement benefit, that's right. So in Dow's case, that carrier is Aetna. Every year, that carrier needs to sign agreements with healthcare providers. Apparently, these two did not agree. As a result, My Michigan is going to be out-of-network provider, not in-network provider.
And so everybody understands this is not Dow's doing. Dow is just a third party here because they're the ones that provide the insurance.
Yes, I will say that in air quotes, the answer is yes, that is the case. So what ended up happening is they've made that decision, meaning between Aetna and Dow. Between Aetna and the healthcare provider. And so you will be able to use your retiree health benefit at My Michigan. It is simply that you will be charged the out-of-network cost. This is going to be the case in 2025.
Does this, and we can't speak for Dow, but does it force Dow to look for another carrier? Is it that important and that big?
That's not in, certainly, I would say that this is occurring at all sorts of employers that offer retiree benefit plans. And something this large, and again, this is not going to be revealed, it's not going to be out there, meaning that it is a normal course of business that large companies look for carriers to provide Medicare Advantage plans for their retirees. And the fact that it happens to be Aetna, does anyone require it to be that carrier and not change it to Arts Insurance Company next year? There's no restriction. We're not going to be party to the private conversation between those, Dow and Aetna.
Right. But the bottom line is the retirees still have insurance. It's just going to cost more to use it in My Michigan Health.
That is going to be the case for 2025. Correct?
So let me ask you this. If they go to a different hospital, McLaren, Covenant, are those in network? Do we know?
What I tell people is that they will always want to check to make sure that, and this is the case for every Medicare Advantage plan.
They're not all the same.
Absolutely not. And that they'll want to check to make sure two things. Number one, that at the very minimum, that they're going to accept the Medicare Advantage plan on an out-of-network basis. From what I understand from the communications that retirees have received, My Michigan is going to be accepting as an out-of-network provider. That same assumption should not be made if it is Hospital XYZ 3 states away. that is not necessarily going to be the case.
J.O. is our guest. Maximize Your Medicare is the book. We'll tell you how to contact him and all that good stuff when we return.
With Marathon Rewards, you'll earn on every fill-up, which is amazing news for every kind of driver out there. Whether you're a wait forever to filler-upper, a routine topper-offer, a relentless road tripper, an occasional commuter, or just a regular old point A to beer, everyone can earn rewards and save up to $1 a gallon. And you can join Marathon Rewards online, through the app, and even at the pump, making signing up easy for every kind of signer-upper. At participating locations, terms and conditions apply.
Llegó Black Friday Build-Up a Lowe's. Adelántate al Black Friday con ofertas exclusivas todo el mes. Ahorra 25% en árboles de Navidad artificiales preiluminados selectos. Además, obtén una herramienta selecta gratis al comprar baterías o kits combinados selectos. Aprovecha estas ofertas en tiendas o en línea, porque Lowe's sabe de ofertas. Válido 11/21 al 11/27 hasta agotar existencia. Selección varía por región.
This is Sonia with Feges Interiors, and I'm here to invite you to check out our recently renovated window treatment gallery. Along with custom draperies and top treatments, we now offer a range of America's most popular brands of blinds and shades like Hunter Douglas. We have an array of smart home compatible, energy efficient designs that are available at everyday low pricing. We can even cover those odd shaped windows with style. For over 24 years, I've helped my clients create custom, one-of-a-kind window treatments, and now I'm able to offer complete room design with Feges Interiors. Through December 1st, save an additional $75 per shade on select styles with motorization. Visit our website to schedule your complimentary consultation and enjoy 50% off professional installation. Or visit our ever-changing showroom at Feges Interiors, 4946 Burl Drive in Saginaw.
Pizza just goes better with Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Pizza. Thank you.
But don't take our word for it. In fact, don't take any words for it. Crispy and cheesy, paired with delicious and refreshing. My mouth is watering already. Ooh, too high. Yeah, we've all been there. Every bite is better with Pepsi.
It's one thing falling in love with a house, and quite another navigating the world of negotiating, mortgage lenders, and finding the budget that works best for you. Guidance from an agent who's a Realtor can make all the difference, because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Hey, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Well, I do now.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn, we match. Unlimited cashback match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
The annual WSW Food for Families campaign presented by Michigan Sugar is going on now through Thanksgiving weekend. Once again, we are asking you to make non-perishable food donations to help those in need as served by the Salvation Army locations in Saginaw, Bay City, and Midland. You can make donations at Michigan Sugar, the Uptown Bay City offices, and the processing plants in Bay City, Sebelween, Caro, and Croswell. You could also visit these other businesses serving as Food for Families donation locations. Cranes, L&M Appliance, Mattress and Furniture, 2 locations in Saginaw and Caro, Maple Hill Nursery and Garden Center in Midland, Wolf Files Ace Hardware in Saginaw, Capoco Credit Union, 2 locations, Saginaw and Bay City, Big Gick Nursery and Garden Center in Bay City, Art Noe Appliance, the 3 locations, 2 in Saginaw and 1 in Frankenmuth, Thumb Bank and Trust in Bay City, and special thanks to Reinmold Printing in Saginaw for the printing and boxes. For specific business addresses and other information, visit WSTW.com and look for the Food for Families box. Food for Families with you, the Salvation Army, Michigan Sugar, and WSTW. WSTW invites you to join us Saturday, November 23rd at the Temple Theater. It's the Saginaw Eddy Concert Band annual Christmas concert. It's free, but WSTW asks you to bring a non-perishable food item in order to donate to the Food for Families campaign. Art Lewis will be the MC. Doors open at 6:30. Concert starts at 7:30. The Saginaw Eddy Band Christmas concert, Saturday, November 23rd at the Temple Theater. It's free, but please bring that non-perishable...
All right, we're back with you talking to J.O., who wrote the book Maximize Your Medicare, among his other things. One of them you mentioned earlier, you're an education fellow in this group of, what's it called?
The Alliance for Lifetime Income.
The Alliance for Lifetime Income.
That's right.
What does it do? What does that mean?
It's a nonprofit organization. It's a think tank of sorts.
Okay.
So I'm one of a group of about 20, and we are providing resources and information to the public, which includes the advisory community, the financial advisory community, about the function, usefulness of annuities, and the function that an extra layer of guaranteed income can provide to a person's financial plan. It is not a sales organization, which is very much part of the reason that I'm so happy to join, which is that it is not there to push a product, etc. It is there literally to make sure that people understand about the function. I like to say in my website, jo.com, money has a naming problem. Money has a naming problem. We attach stigma to certain terminology. I love the ACA. I hate Obamacare.
Yeah, same thing.
Right. Exactly. This type of thing happens when it comes to financial topics everywhere. One of them is annuities. And that the people who dominate the press and advertisements like to throw stones, but nevertheless, the function of annuity is very valuable to many who don't want to be over-reliant on financial markets returns.
And we should point out, it's unique to each person.
No question.
Your situation is not the same as mine, is the same as the next guy, so forth, so on. And where it may work for one, may not work for another.
And that's the great thing here is, and I definitely suggest that people go to that site. There are a number of resources, protectedincome.org. I've written a research note for that group about the way the ACA and Medicare work and how you can get extra premiums and savings for that. I've written a research note for that. And the point is that the cookie cutter garden variety answer just simply doesn't, that applies to Mr. Average, who fits basically nobody.
I was going to say doesn't exist, does he?
That's right.
That's so true. It is so true. And that's just one of the organizations you consult with. You've been involved nationally on a number, haven't you?
Yes. That all said, I'm just a guy. Right? So
a very smart guy, but just a guy, yeah.
The best satisfaction, and it just happened the other day here, literally yesterday, is that a new client who has means and is educated generally in healthcare as well as financial matters. She received our assistance, was not very complicated. She had a brother who has financial distress, who is married. She connected me. Her name's Lynn B. I'm not going to give you right? Anyway, she connected me with her brother and sister-in-law. These persons have financial issues and health issues. And this connection point is my reward, because I made some difference to Lynn. I made an enormous difference to Lynn's sibling and spouse. And it's that connection point which is so important. That is the mission, ultimately, of the book, which I've not done great. I don't sit. I am.
Hasn't made you a millionaire yet.
I am critical of myself all the time, and the one is that our clients and the public have not done, and I've not done well in providing that message, which is someone you know for sure doesn't know something that they should and could.
Yeah. But you do deliver a lot of messages. So let's tell people how they can contact you for these variety of messages that you have.
That's a great question. MaximizeYourMedicare.com is the official website for the book. There are contact forms there. The newsletter is called Jay's Corner, and that is
And
free.
it's J-A-E.
J-A-E.
Just so you know, folks.
Now, the K-pop exists, and that is a known spelling. JAEOH.substack.com. There's free and paid versions. The free versions certainly about Medicare, healthcare cost planning, and a wide variety of financial topics.
There it is, folks. MaximizeYourMedicare.com. Start there and visit with Jay. It's always a pleasure. We'll have to do it again. Not wait so long the next time. It's been a while.
I've missed you.
Yeah, it'll be another book or two. We need to move that up a little. Jay, always good to be with you, my friend.
My privilege.
Been doing this well over a decade now, and I don't see any end in sight. So, with that, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
And we will be back to close out, tell you what's ahead next hour after these notes.